Hey everybody, welcome again to another episode of the WPDKIN10 radio show. I'm your host David Wright, aka Bishop Down, and we are broadcasting to you today live from the Atlanta, Georgia. So we're doing this broadcast on this Wednesday. But my plan is to try to get it out to you Wednesday on the YouTube. If not, it will be on Thursday on YouTube. So kind of like a brief thing today, but something I realized, or maybe I've seen it from my point of view. But so there's this thing that's been going around where the Popeyes chickens are back, and people, quote unquote black people, are going out of their minds to try to get Popeyes chicken, crashing their cars, and people getting in fights about chicken sandwiches and shit like that. So basically, but it's all targeted towards the black people of America. But kind of what I was just realizing, or kind of what I actually feel, like, see, we get this misconception about who and what black people are and what they represent. Now, I believe that black person that they're talking about, that is a created entity. I believe that is a created entity, is not actually who we are or what we represent. Kind of like a created entity, like the redneck, or the white collar person. Cause look, we as people, we never started out from the bottom. We were always on top. But see, we fell from grace. We fell from grace. Maybe because we forgot who we are. Maybe because we just started believing the lies so much because they were based on the truth. Or maybe it was a systematic destruction of our culture, destruction of our civilization by the peoples who wanted to control us and everybody on this planet. Maybe. Don't really know. But we know that there was a fall. And the only reason why I truly believe that, because we were here first. And if we were here first, then everything that had to be known or learned, we knew it. Because we were able to thrive, not only survive, but thrive. So you can't tell me the people that were here first didn't know anything. Didn't know about spirituality. Didn't know about chemistry. Didn't know about botany. Didn't know about their surroundings. Because if you didn't know about all these things, how can you survive? And it's known fact that the Spanish, or the Spaniards, the original Spaniards, if they're called the Moors or whatnot, they taught the English people. When they were in the Dark Ages, because they were in the Dark Ages, they were brought into the Renaissance area. It just didn't happen by chance. That all of a sudden they just start knowing shit. None of that stuff is random. It's not a random thing. Something happened, or they were given knowledge and allowed them to come out of the Dark Ages into the Renaissance period. And why is it that just happened over and over again. You think about the Greeks. They were in a period of not knowing. And then all of a sudden they started to learn stuff and know stuff. Why? Because they went back into ancient Memphis, ancient Kemet. And they went there to get their knowledge. They wanted this knowledge so much that they started killing people for it. That's how important it is. Important it was. So you have to realize these instances that you're seeing with quote-unquote black people acting ignorant and wild and crazy in no manner, that is a creative personality. That is a programmed personality that has been constantly redefined and they're giving you the narrative of how it's supposed to be. Because if those chicken sandwiches are so good, then everybody wants a chicken sandwich. Not just quote-unquote black people. Because quote-unquote black people are not the only people that love chicken. Think about it. And the quote-unquote black people of America, they're the ones that build America. Think about all the inventions and discoveries that's been made in this country was done by people that are dark-skinned. The ones who designed Washington, D.C., the Masons, an old organization founded by dark-skinned people. It was about knowledge, it was about information. You got Benjamin Banneker's and the other guy that helped Edison develop the incandescent light bulb. Edison didn't do it on his own. Eli Whitney. What's the guy's name? George Washington Carver. There's many others too. That's just to name a few. So you have to understand, dark-skinned people, they didn't come from nothing. They didn't come from over in Africa not knowing anything. You weren't a people without knowledge. You weren't a people without information, without spirituality. The ones that you see now, that's a creation. It's a created person. It's a created personality of how they want you to believe that all your people are. That you don't know nothing, that you're just ignorant. And you're incapable of learning. That's crazy. That is the mentality of a crazy person. We're not crazy. We're just taught crazy. We're taught crazy, so we act crazy. Hey, hold on, drop. That's what the reality is. So, and the thing about why they, when they try to say, support black business, support black businesses, support black businesses, do black only, black owned. See, the thing about the black owned thing, I really think it's like this. See, they try to separate us from. They're still trying to separate us from us. They're still trying to separate us from everybody else. Only because the color of our skin. When in truth is, we are responsible for all these corporations and businesses that are out there. And when we support them, we support ourselves and we support our own community. You don't have to have a business that's owned by black people to support black people. This is not true. Because when you think about it, even when you have that black-owned business, where do you get your money from? All the money comes from the ones who are in control. The quote-unquote so-called white people. They're the ones giving you the money anyway for the business that you're running. You're not printing that money yourself. You're not generating that money yourself. It comes from whoever these people are that have gained control and the ones who are giving you out the money. So even if you're saying you're supporting black, you're still supporting that. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to separate ourselves from the whole thing that we created in the first place. I mean, you have to realize that some of these people who are in control, they look like you too. They're the ones that you want to call them the biggest sellouts to control masses of people, because they don't care what color you are. They don't. As long as you do what they say and are slaving under their control. I think we really have to get to the reality of what is really going on. And that's why it's so hard for black people to support black people, because we don't realize that we don't need to be separate from it. We don't need to be separated from it. We are it. When you go out there and go to the Targets, to the Walmarts, to the Amazons, you're supporting yourself. It's not like you're supporting them and making them, more richer. You're not. Because they already got what they got. They got control. So what you could do, why don't you go out there and use that money to franchise a Walgreens, franchise, a Smoothie King or Panera Bread or Domino's or Pizza Hut. Open up your own shit. Open up your own shit using their names. Make your money and then teach somebody else that looks like you the same thing. How to do that. Once you figured out how to do it, teach. And help somebody else that looks like you. That's how you support each other. That's how you support. You share the knowledge. You share the information. You guide them. You help them get to where they want to be or on your level. I mean, that's how all the other quote-unquote races do it. You know what I mean? There's no secret. They make sure they pass that knowledge down. And that wealth, they make sure they pass that down. See, we're trying to do things separate from what we're already in. And you won't be successful that way, because it's already hard enough as it is. So like, the system is designed for you to succeed. It is. But most of us, we don't believe that. We're fighting the system. We're saying that it's not equal rights, it's not equal this. You have to understand that you're not going to have any equal opportunities as long as you stay in the slave mentality. Or as long as you don't realize that you're in a slave system. So what you do in the slave system, you understand how it operates, and you work your way, you navigate yourself around and through it. You understand the lay of the land. So you're always giving yourself options to succeed, to get to the next point. Okay? So you see the problem with this slavery thing, the problem with how they basically tell you what you want or what you should think, right? So this is called cognitive dissonance. So the problem with that is, it's not the truth. It's a created truth or a created reality where they're telling people what to believe. So based off that, you don't get the truth. So, and see, here's the thing with the slavery thing, right? So the problem with the slavery thing is like this. If slavery was like they say it was, then they would be responsible for giving everybody who's quote unquote a black person or descendants of slavery reparations for hold on. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, the problem with that is now, if that was true, then they would have to pay these reparations, right? Just like the Germans were ordered to pay the Jewish people, and then the United States paid the Native Americans. Now you see, those things were things that actually happened. The Jews were persecuted by the Germans, killed, and many other people as well. But those people demanded these payments, and then the Native Americans demanded the payment too from the United States. So as a Native American, if you can prove that you're a Native American, then you get things like free education and land and things like that, right? Now, the same thing with the Jewish people, they get stuff too. But see, here's the problem with the slavery thing. It's like, so if slavery actually existed like they said, then they would have to give these people what they owe. But they don't give these people what they owe because it's something that cannot be proven. Like, how do you prove that you're a descendant of a slave? Like I said, you really can't prove that. There's nothing on paper that says that. Because when they go back in the census, when they started taking the census or whatnot, the whole slavery thing was pretty much, it wasn't necessarily ended like they say it was, like in 1863 with the Emancipation Proclamation. That was a bunch of bullshit. But when you look at a lot of these records, when you look at the people, they don't say that they were slaves. They just say that they were Negro or they were mulatto, or some of them say they were Native American. They actually write out the tribe that they belong to. So now I'm not saying that the slavery thing did not happen, but we don't know because we weren't back there during that time. We weren't back there during those times. But I can guarantee you, if it was a very minimum amount of that stuff actually happening. Very minimum, not a lot. Minimum. But it's something that they cannot prove it, and it didn't happen like that. Because if it did, then yes, and they would pay those people back. But they don't. You know what I mean? We're not getting any reparations. And see, and then you got that thing about where, so they paint this picture about how, the slaves were, brought over from another land and they didn't know anything and all this other kind of stuff like that. And, you know what I mean? They're just a menace to society and all that stuff like that. Of course, see, that was they created black person. And then you start doing, black against black and stuff like that because, people who believe they've made it in American society, they feel like, oh, I'm not slave anymore. I don't have that slave mentality. When you're still part of the slave system anyway. And you don't believe you are because now you have some kind of money in your pocket or you got some kind of degree that says something other. But it's a whole bunch of confusion anyway, man. A whole bunch of confusion. So, just to reiterate, when you see somebody who looks like you, just say hi. When you see somebody who doesn't look like you, just say hi anyway, Be friendly to one another, love one another, and everything will be fine. See, you gotta understand the whole Like, even when they talk about the Black Panther, right? The Black Panther Party. They talk so much negative stuff about the Black Panther. They were this, they were that. Only thing the Black Panthers were doing was trying to protect their community from the influence of drugs that the government was putting into their communities, and protecting their own people from the police brutality, the police corruption, which this corruption happens in many other countries. You know, you gotta look at the British. When the British came over to take over China, the British put their people in control, and they corrupted the whole Chinese, political system. And the same thing happened here in this country. And the Black Panthers were a group of people who said, we're not going to stand for that shit. We're going to stand up, we're going to protect our community and protect our people. And they got shit for that. They got killed for that. All because they were fighting for what was truth. The same thing happened in China and other countries. They had groups that were protecting their people, and they got murdered as well. But they don't say anything about that. It's okay for the government to kill the Black Panthers or kill other groups that are protecting their own people. See?